I'm Miss Rosas from 21st Century here in Pasco, and thank you so much for joining us for Chapter 10 and 11 of How to Speak Dolphin. Let's get started. Today's objective. I will follow along with Miss Rosas in Chapter 10 and 11 of How to Speak Dolphin. I know I have it when I can summarize Chapter 10 and 11 of How to Speak Dolphin. Chapter 10 Vocabulary. Breezeway, a roofed, often open passage connecting two buildings. Marine biologist. A marine biologist is the person who studies aquatic organisms, their behavior and interaction in detail, from small organism like plankton to large creature like whales. Everything that lives in ocean is included in marine biology. Minnows, a small freshwater fish. Grimace, a twisting of the face, as in disgust or pain. Palm fronds, a large leaf or leaf-like structure with many divisions. Chapter 10, Miami, Florida. Dawn's already left for a surgery, and I'm feeding Adam when Suzanne calls to say she's running late, which means I'll get to school after the first period bell. Again. I hate walking into class after the teacher calls roll and having all eyes follow me to my desk. It's always best to feed Adam before dressing him. And I should have waited to get dressed myself. I put him in his play yard and leave the oatmeal mess on the walls for Suzanne to wipe down. She's still not there when I come out of the bathroom in a clean shirt and my hair wet where I rinsed out the oatmeal. I've thought for a long time that Adam knows when I'm stressed and on the verge of losing it. But I can't decide if he's upset because I'm upset. Like he seemed to be with the sea lion, or takes perverse pleasure in making a bad day worse. I give him one of his dolphins to play with, but he whacks me in the head with it, and one of the flippers hits my right eye. With that eye closed against the sting, I managed to get his kicking feet through the leg holes of his Tranquility pull-on diaper, but I don't get it pulled up before he pees a stream like a water fountain, soaking the shirt I just put on. I swear he looked pleased with himself. Tears form, but I don't cry. I refuse to cry. He screams like I'm killing him, but I finally get a t-shirt on him without dislocating one of his shoulders. Put him back on in his play yard and go to my room to change clothes. My eye is still bright red and tears clump my bottom lashes together. By the clock on my nightstand, the bell will ring in 12 minutes. If Suzanne pulls in right this second, and I run, I might still make it in time. Adam is shrieking, so I get his little dolphin board book and start reading, hoping he'll stop the racket before Suzanne gets here. It's still hard to believe she's lasted nearly a month already. I hear the gate clank open. I slam the book shut and run to the back door. Sorry, Toots! Suzanne shouts as I run past her car and out the gates before it swings closed again. School is 4 blocks away, but there are only 5 minutes left before the bell. By block 2, I'm winded and sweating and have to stop. I rest my hands on my knees, but I'm close enough to hear the warning bell ring. 1 minute to the final bell and I'll have my 3rd tardy this month, which means my 3rd detention spent sitting in an empty classroom for an hour after school. The security guard at the entrance looks at his watch as I trot by, but doesn't say anything. It's none of his business what time I get to school. He's supposed to be watching for lunatics with guns. Our lockers line the breezeway wall. I'm getting my books out when the final bell rings. Instead of walking into class late, I sit on the concrete bench opposite the lockers and try to decide whether to go to class and take the detention or skip all my classes and see what happens. I'm sure the school will call Dawn, but so what? I'm sick of my day-to-day life. The morning race to get myself ready for school so I can take care of Adam until Suzanne arrives. The reverse in the afternoon, running home to relieve her by 4. I'm tired of all the rushing back and forth. I'd like to sleep in one morning and make some friends to hang out with in the afternoons. Or maybe try out for soccer or the swim team. I sit on the cool concrete bench and try to remember what life was like before Adam was born and before Mom died. What my dreams were. Until she met and married Don, Mom used to try to keep my father alive in my memory. Before the war, he was a marine biologist on Key Biscayne. He studied coral reefs, but was in the Navy reserves. That's how he ended up going to Iraq. For a long time, I wanted to be a marine biologist too. I used to catch minnows in the lake in front of Baptist Hospital and keep them in a fishbowl in my room. After Mom married Don and we moved into his coral rock house, I used to inspect the outside walls with a magnifying glass and pry interesting fossil shells loose until Don caught me. I don't know whether I outgrew wanting to be like my dad or whether all that got buried by Adam's needs. Until this morning, I pretty much stopped thinking about it. What I'd like to do right now is cross Bayshore Drive and spend the day in the park down the street. But the entire school property is fenced. The only way out is past the security guard and he'll want to know where I'm going. Without a permission slip to leave campus, he'll call the office. I'm trapped here. A car pulls up. Alicia hoops out and slams the door. Alicia is the girl who came over to swim that time. The one who called my brother a retard. Hey, Lily. Hi. What you doing out here? I press my hand to my stomach. Got cramps. I'm waiting for a ride home. She turns, but her mother has already pulled away. Want me to flag Mom down? She could take you home. No, our nanny's already on her way. Why are you late? Dentist. She draws her lips back in a grimace to show me her braces, then peers at my hair and curls her lip. What's that? I touched my head. Oatmeal? I don't know. Looks like bird poop. I shrug. How's your brother? She smiles, and I hate her all over again. Better run, she says. See ya. I go to the girls' bathroom and wash the oatmeal out of my hair, then go back and sit with my back against one of the posts holding up the breezeway roof. I read until first period ends and kids boil out of classrooms. When the second period starts, I gather my stuff and head to the library. The library is in the southwest corner of the school. I find an overstuffed chair opposite the row of windows facing a side street. From this seat, I have a nice view of the trees and can look up from my book to watch the palm fronds dipping and swaying in the breeze. The silent movement of the fronds makes me feel deaf. I'm thinking I'd rather be deaf than blind when two girls walk past the window. They are giggling and looking back over their shoulders. One of them glances my way, but for whatever reason doesn't see me. Maybe the windows mirror the trees, so she can't see me watching. It's a familiar feeling, invisibility. After second period ends, I go to lunch with the third period kids and fix myself a salad from the salad bar. When I turn, I see a girl who's in my language arts class sitting by herself at one end of a long table. She glances at me and kind of smiles. I pretend not to notice and take my tray to an empty table in the corner. Sometimes I feel sorry for myself that I don't have any friends, but the fact that I don't is my own fault. I prefer being alone to acquiring another Alicia. Our school is very strict about bullying, or I would probably be bullied. Instead, I'm ignored, which suits me fine. When the cafeteria starts to empty out, I hide in the girls' bathroom until the fourth period bell rings. I follow them into the cafeteria and have a bowl of soup this time. When fifth period comes in for lunch, I have a ham and cheese sandwich. I keep thinking any minute someone's going to notice that I've eaten 3 lunches and have been hanging out most of the day. But no one does. For sixth period, I go back in the library, find my corner unoccupied, and read until school lets out at 3:30 when I leave for home, satisfied with my day. The automated message on the answering machine says, "Your child missed 1 or more classes today. Please call the office at your earliest convenience." I delete it seconds before Don comes into the kitchen. "How was school?" Of course, I think he knows. Why? My tone is defensive in spite of the fact my heart is now lodged in my throat. He lifts an eyebrow, and I think he's going to threaten me with what? He can't ground me. I never go anywhere. What can he do? Send me to my room without dinner? I had 3 nice lunches. He shrugs, and I realize he asks me most days how school went. I say fine, and our dance ends. My guilty conscience made me jump to the wrong conclusion. Don pours himself a glass of orange juice and walks to the window that looks out at the pool. "Did the yard man come today?" "How should I know? I was at school, remember?" He turns. "Doesn't look like he did." He says like it's my fault. "What are you smiling about?" "I'm not, but I was." Don always finds a way around what he considers an obstacle to getting what he wants. I'm smiling because I can be a rule breaker too. He puts his empty glass beside the sink, leaves the orange juice carton on the counter for me to put away, I guess, and goes outside, probably to measure the height of the grass. Chapter 11, Vocabulary. Leisurely, acting or done unhurried or relaxed. Grove, a small forest or group of planted trees. Pedestrian, a person who is walking. Bay, a bay is a body of water that is partly surrounded by land. Chapter 11. I don't know if the school bothered to call Don again. If they did, he never confronted me. So on the following Tuesday, when Suzanne is late again, I don't make the same mistake. After she arrives, I dart down the driveway like I'm racing to get to school. But as soon as the gate closes, I turn right and leisurely drift the 4 blocks to Kennedy Park. Sweaty joggers circle the beat course, stopping at exercise stations. A carload of boys honks and laughs at a bunch of old people in a Tai Chi class doing slow motion kung fu moves. I walk straight down to the bay. The water is murky and full of trash. Plastic ice bags, styrofoam cups, other bits of unidentifiable plastic. People are pigs. It's hot and still, but later, when the breeze picks up, there will be sailboats to watch. I look around for a shady place to sit where I can read. The only bench facing the water is occupied by a sleeping homeless man. He's covered himself from head to ankles with sheets of the Miami Herald. His boots, with the upper part separated from the soles, expose filthy toes, which are pointed skyward. Every once in a while, he shakes a foot to rid it of flies. Now that I'm here, I wonder what I'm going to do all day. I've got a book, but I'll be done reading it in a couple of hours. I think about walking to the Grove and wandering the shops, maybe see a movie, but nothing's open yet. I decide to go watch the Tai Chi class and walk back toward Bayshore Drive, where the morning traffic headed for downtown is bumper to bumper. I take a bench facing the old people. There's nothing unusual about people honking at each other in Miami traffic, but I do look up when I hear a guy shout, "All clear, girlie!" Some of the people in the Tai Chi class also pause to look. Traffic has stopped in both directions to let a girl cross the street. People in Miami never stop for pedestrians, except maybe in school zones. One car, driven by a man talking on his cell phone, pulls forward to plug the gap left by the car in front of him and moves into the path of the girl. I see him jump, like maybe she whacked the side of his car. His window goes down. I can't hear what they say, but she nods, turns to her left, and walks around in the front of his car. That's when I see the white cane. A moment later, she taps the curb, steps up, and crosses the parking lot without her cane hitting a single car, even though the lot is nearly full. The jogging path is made of tightly packed wood chips and feels spongy underneath. She crosses the grass, finds the edge of the path with her cane, steps to the center, tucks her cane into the crook of her arm, and walks it like a sighted person. I get up and follow her, staying on the grass so she won't hear me. As we get closer to the water, a breeze kicks up. The blind girl stops, lifts her chin, and takes a deep breath. It occurs to me that, till now, she has been walking through thick, humid silence. I wonder, when there are no sounds, if it's like moving through nothingness. Hearing the palm fronds rattle and leaves rustle must furnish the landscape for her. I'm reminded of sitting in the library last week when I cut classes, watching tree branches moving in the wind and deciding I'd rather be deaf than blind. To get to the bay, she has to either continue on the path, which circles the entire park, or cross the grass and dodge the trees. If it was me, I'd stick to the path, but she uses her cane to find where the lawn starts, and with her nose held high, heads straight for the water. Maybe she's planning to drown herself. I might if I was blind. This gives me a good excuse to stick close. If she wades in and goes under, I'll be there to sound the alarm and jump in to save her. Instead of swinging her cane wildly from side to side, she's sweeping it in a narrow arc just ahead of where she's stepping. I move around to get in front of her and realize she's making a soft clicking noise with her tongue, like water dripping. I'm tempted to warn her she's headed for a tree, but something about the sureness of her pace makes me think she knows it's there. When she's a yard or two away, she tucks the cane into the crook of her arm and keeps walking. The clicking turns to humming, and she begins turning her head from side to side. 2 feet short of the tree, she reaches out, touches the trunk with her fingers, and runs her hand over the bark. Gumbo limbo, she says, and turns back toward the bay. I walk over to the tree, close my eyes, and feel the trunk. The bark on gumbo limbo trees peels in sheets, leaving the deep maroon-colored trunk smooth and cool to the touch. Locals call them tourist trees because the thin, papery bark looks like sheets of skin hanging off sunburned Yankees. I trot after her. She's using her cane again, but hasn't stopped humming or clicking or moving her head. She reminds me of an owl honing in on a mouse. There are trees on both sides of the route she's taking, the largest of which is to her left. When she tucks her cane and veers straight for it, I decide she's only pretending to be blind, until she bumps into a metal mesh trash can. She feels the rim of it, gives a little laugh, steps around it, and begins to hum again, a few feet short of running right into the tree. She reaches out and touches the trunk. It's a ficus tree, but she's having trouble figuring that out since there are usually masses of thin roots hanging from the branches. This one's been trimmed. The aerial roots are starting to grow back but dangle from branches way above her head. She circles the tree, swinging her cane until she finds a branch with leaves low enough for her to reach. She feels a leaf and smiles. Ficus. While trying to find a low branch, she ends up facing back the way she came. Her chin goes up and she sniffs the air, turns and starts for the bay again. I follow in behind her and watch her check out every tree on her way to the water. Most are Australian pines. The last is a sea grape growing in the water's edge. She stands near it and breathes deeply. Then, using her cane, she heads for the park bench where the homeless man is, now sitting up. This is my first good look at her face. She's my age. Pretty with long, straight black hair, kind of Native American looking with high cheekbones. She's not wearing dark glasses like other blind people. And I can see her clear brown eyes. Again, it occurs to me that she may be pretending, though she's staring straight ahead and doesn't blink. She stops short of the bench, as if she's seen the homeless man. He's been watching her too. I'd like to sit there if you don't mind sharing. The guy glances over his shoulder and sees me. I was leaving. He stands unsteadily, leans to gather up the newspaper, and almost falls over. You want I should leave the paper? I gasp at his rudeness, and the girl turns in my direction. She smiles and faces him again. He isn't exactly where she's looking anymore. He steps to one side. Is it the Braille edition? Ha, that's a good one. I was blind myself last night. When he says that, she adjusts where she's looking to where he's standing. Do you have insight this morning or just sight? It takes him a moment to interpret this, and he laughs. Same as every morning. I can see, but ain't too interested in keeping my eyes open for long. I'm thinking, how can you say that to a blind person? When the girl steps forward and puts her hand out. It's about 6 inches to the right of where he's standing, but he reaches for it, pulls his hand back, wipes it on his dirty pants, and shakes her hand. My name is Zoe. I'm Dwayne. Nice to meet you, Dwayne. Wouldn't be if you could see me. I don't agree. I see differently, but quite clearly. Ain't you blind? I am, but that means I only see what's important about a person, not their physical self. Like if you was God and I was dead? Zoe smiles. A little like that. Can I help you to the bench? Dwayne says. No need. I do okay considering. I'd like to anyway. He steps forward and takes her arm. I'm here most mornings. If I don't get run off by the cop the night before, maybe I'll see you again. I hope so. He leaves Zoe on the bench facing the water, but not before he stacks the newspapers, brushes off the seat, and picks at a dried spot of bird poop with his index finger. Thanks, Dwayne. You're welcome, Missy. I'm standing with my arms at my side. I miss my mother more at this moment than in the nearly 2 years since she died, but I'm not sure why. I feel like she's holding me in place, pinning my arms to my sides, refusing to let me move, refusing to let me hide. Dwayne glances at me. Is that girl there a friend of yours? Not yet. Zoe looks in my general direction. Why would I want to make friends with another person with needs? I walk away. Not far, just away. Thank you so much for joining us for chapter 10 and 11 of How to Speak Dolphin. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you join us again for chapter 12 and 13. And coming up are the review questions that you can work on right now. Review questions. Number 1. When Lily said, tears fall, but I don't cry, I refuse to cry. Why do you think she does not let herself cry? Number 2. What do you think will happen with Lily and Zoe? Do you think that they will become friends? Why or why not? Use evidence from the book to support your answer.